Whether it's in the ring or on the court or on the field, sports are very competitive. Many athletes do everything in their power to gain an edge over their opponents. Usually that means training harder than your opponents, practicing new techniques, and studying the experts in the field. Some athletes go further than what's allowed and turn to performance-enhancing drugs, or PEDs. These are illegal in the vast majority of sports for different reasons. One of the main reasons is that they're seen as unfair and against the spirit of sport, which is to improve through hard work. Why are we talking about PEDs? Chael Sonnen recently made a huge claim regarding the substances. That claim was that basketball superstar Lebron James uses PEDs. How could he know this? What exactly is LeBron allegedly using? That'll be explained as we examine Chael Sonnen's revelation that LeBron James is doping. So how could Chael Sonnen know about LeBron James? On a recent episode of the Flagrant podcast on YouTube, Sonnen appeared as a guest. There, the former UFC fighter talked about his previous opponent, Jon Jones, trash talk, and LeBron James. After over an hour of talking about other fighters and athletes, the ex-UFC fighter brought up the basketball player's name. The conversation at that point had been centered around PEDs. Sonnen admitted that he currently uses PEDs to stay in shape and youthful. He also admitted that he even used them during his UFC career. Sonnen joked that he had legally been utilizing the substances, only using them before testing periods, and then stopped so he wouldn't test positive. He then talked about being caught by a surprise drug test. The consequences after that were minimal, as Sonnen then admitted he went back on the juice. He even admitted that he had more juice than Tropicana, but the renowned fighter still pushed him around in the ring. Sonnen then went on to talk about PEDs and brought up LeBron James as a user. Sonnen said that he and James have the same drug guy. He stated that this drug guy supplies different athletes with PEDs. The ex-fighter also went on to say that other top-level athletes use PEDs. However, Sonnen seemed to really focus on LeBron during the podcast. He claimed people wouldn't think the basketball player would receive a lot of flack if it came out. More specifically, he said, other basketball players will hear about what LeBron does and go, that does not matter. If you knew what these performance enhancers did, you'd know it does matter. Clearly, he thinks James's use of PEDs is a problem that should be brought to light. So what is LeBron using, according to Sonnen? During the podcast rant, the ex-fighter also said he even knows what PED LeBron James is using. He explained that most of the pros use one or more of 3 different PEDs. According to Sonnen, professional athletes will use EPO, short for erythropoietin, human growth hormone, and testosterone to boost their athletic performance. Of the 3, which one does Sonnen claim LeBron is taking? EPO. Sonnen said that James is taking the first PED, EPO, because of how good it is. He said EPO is the king of everything. That's why cyclists use it, even calling the hormone the king of PEDs. Why is it so good and how would it benefit the basketball star? According to Sonnen, EPO increases the body's red blood cell count. This is beneficial towards athletes, allowing the blood to deliver more oxygen to the muscles. That extra oxygen allows for athletes to have better endurance during physical activity and a more efficient recovery after. That science checks out. EPO is naturally produced by the body's kidneys, but athletes can take the substance to boost red blood cell production even more. Clearly, this would be beneficial on the court, as basketball is a fast-paced, physically demanding sport. It could explain LeBron's being able to play consistently through a whole game. In this, Sonnen knows what he's talking about. According to the ex-fighter, that could explain why LeBron still has superstar status at his age, playing in the NBA for as long as he has. Although EPO is a banned substance, the league still tests its athletes. This has led to some questions about the NBA's leniency with drug tests. Some theories go so far as to say the league turns a blind eye to James so he can sell more tickets. Whatever the case is, it's important to consider that Sonnen offered no other proof to his claim, aside from the statement that they share a drug guy. Sonnen himself has also admitted to using these performance enhancers. There are other questions that need to be explored in this context. Has Sonnen made claims like this before? The answer is yes. In fact, this isn't the first thing Sonnen has accused James of doing without offering proof. Back in 2013, Sonnen first trash-talked the basketball player on the Jim Rowe Show, calling him a dork. This continued with him arguing over the semantics of a recent title James had won at the time. Sonnen later spoke with someone from the Bleacher Report. The interview asked him what prompted the rant, an insult towards the famous basketball player. Sonnen went on another rant, expressing disdain for James. He then alleged that the basketball player made a suggestive comment towards the fighter's then-fiancée at the time. This supposedly took place backstage during his fight against Anderson Silva. The comment itself was strange. James allegedly asked the fighter's fiancée if there was a tic-tac in her blouse or if she was happy to see him. Again, this comment just seems strange and suspicious. LeBron James has been playing pro for about 20 years. His name rarely comes up in the news for negative reasons. Additionally, there hadn't been any similar reports about the player before then or since. It seems that this claim about the player's inappropriate behavior was made up. With no other evidence offered up, Sonnen just made a controversial and defamatory claim against another athlete. He also kept going, talking about how James was at the event in their house being disrespectful to fans. Sonnen added that the basketball player didn't sign autographs for eager fans. He also added that the player even disrespectfully moved a wheelchair-bound kid out of his way. This also just seems like an attack on James's character. Sonnen has also accused other athletes of doping too. One of the most notable athletes the ex-fighter accused of this is John Jones. A decade ago, the two fighters coached opposing teams on The Ultimate Fighter Season 17. Later on, they faced off for the lightweight heavyweight title in April 2013. Sonnen spoke about this fight in an interview, noting that he could tell his opponent was using PEDs. He noted that the three big tells on the body were the delts, the chest, and the upper abs. Jones had previously faced backlash for several failed drug tests. This can substantiate Sonnen's claim about his opponent. You also have to consider the irony that Sonnen was also using performance enhancers at the time. Thus, he doesn't really have much ground to stand on for calling out another athlete using PEDs. This brings us to a final key question. Is Sonnen a reliable source? To answer this, we should keep in mind that Sonnen may have been trying to stay relevant, as the ex-UFC fighter never won a championship. Given that he's brought up multiple unproven claims against the basketball superstar, it seems the ex-fighter may not be all that reliable. Again, there isn't much evidence to look at here. Only statements. Those cannot be confirmed or denied. Sonnen's reliability, given his history, is debatable. It seems like he has some animosity toward James. The reason for that is unknown, but it's important to keep it in mind. No one else has tried to substantiate the claim about LeBron's PED use. The statement definitely raises some eyebrows and may lead to further investigation. The fact that LeBron has not responded to the claims could be telling, or he may not see them as worth acknowledging. But with the only evidence being Sonnen's statement that they have the same drug guy, it's a shaky argument at best and defamation of character at worst. More details may emerge down the road. This has been a breakdown of Chael Sonnen's revelation that LeBron James is doping. What are your thoughts on both athletes?